What is up, alienARMy? I am Oculus, the alien next door, purveyor of esoteric lore. And today our esoteric topic is going to be very random, so if you like more linear and structured videos, this might not be the video for you. So I implore you to stick around if you feel that the vibe of this little casual chit chat is going to be up your alley. Now, with that being said, this video is going to be a little more candid than what I usually do. As I said, it's going to be a random chit chat, things that I channeled earlier today, and then I'm just going to explain them, and then I'm going to break them down like as to what they mean. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet, and let's see how it goes. So the topic of this video is called the 11 Enlightenments. Okay, so this is going to be pertaining to like spiritual awakening and things like that, the journey of the soul as one progresses upward and upward along their spiritual evolution. At certain points in their experience, they're gonna experience like an upgrade pattern. Okay, first it might be you know, preempted by anxiety for like out of nowhere, then depression seeming like out of nowhere, and then sort of like an isolation, like keeping to yourself, that hermit phase, and then liberation, okay, like that judgment type of thing. I'm talking about the hermit and judgment in tarot, if you're familiar with those meanings. So these are going to be what I channeled, the 11 Enlightenments. Take them however you wish. You know, it's always our intention that those who are meant to resonate with messages do so well. And as I said, going to be pertaining to enlightenment and spiritual awakening. Now, when I say the terms anxiety or depression or any type of thing like that, like, listen, okay, I am not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, right? I'm none of those things, but this is, if you want to look up the general definition of anxiety and or depression, you can look it up, and that's kind of what I'm going to describe there. I'm not diagnosing anyone with anxiety or depression. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm simply going by the way that those can be taken as like, you know, how someone is feeling inside, okay? So now, much love to all of you luminaries who are still here and watching this. This is a video for you. So enlightenment number one, and these are going to be in random order. No enlightenment is more or less important than the other one, okay? Some of the language is going to be a little interesting, just because that's really what gets conveyed to me, and I want to, you know, convey it accurately back to you, or to you, I should say, not back to you. But anyway, so the first enlightenment is, who am I, motherfucker? Show me you. Who the fuck are you? And I'll be that too. Fuck you. Okay, so this one basically is really very to the point, but this essentially means that if someone is, if you're questioning whether someone is in your life, like what is their purpose, like who are they to you, look at yourself, because the other person is really you as well, okay? So if you're asking this person, who are you to me, right? It's like you're asking yourself that, okay? Because that resonance that brought you together is really, because there's a commonality, and the commonality is how you perceive that individual is how they are perceiving you, okay? So this can be a positive thing or it can be a negative thing, and it can be that, you know, someone is sort of negative and you feel negative about them, right? But I mean, because you have that resonance and it's negative, they also are feeling that same resonance towards you in that negative way, okay? So if you have anyone in your life and you're feeling negative towards them, it might be mutual, or you're picking up on something. Even if there's someone who's like smiling to your face, they're nice to you, but you're still like, ugh. like you feel like a nasty vibe about them, right? It's like that's them with their ugly thoughts and beliefs about you, okay? And vice versa. Now, no one is perfect, so I'm sure that at one time, I know I've been there, where I've just thought like negatively of someone and it turned out to be nothing that I thought. And then I'm like, wait, but I had those negative traits within me that were coming up, and the other person was really just a projection of what was going on in me, right? And this happens to everyone all the time. And it also happens with positivity too. So if you're asking like, wow, like what is this person's role in my experience? I really like being around them. I feel amazing when I'm with them. And like, this is some good shit right here, right? If you're feeling that way, right? Let's say this person, maybe they haven't told you their feelings about for you yet or something like that. And you're not really sure where you stand with them, but you just feel really good and you feel positive like when you're in their presence, or even if you just think of them, if it's a positive feeling, that also means that basically they are projecting onto you, like they have those same positive thoughts about you. That's why you're sharing that. Now, obviously, of course, this could also go for people. Let's say there's mutual dislike, mutual repellent between two people, and they both are feeling negative towards each other or whatever. They'll repel each other. They'll be out of each other's way, right? And if two people are openly and outwardly positive towards each other, like, oh, I love you, like, like you're just like, you're like this, right? So if two people are openly like that, know that it is a genuine friendship as well, okay? So this works in any context. If you're wondering who someone is in your experience, whether you're feeling or you're feeling about them, right? Whether they've conveyed that emotion towards you, know that those feelings, if you're really joyful when you think about them, or if you feel really negative when you think about them, that's sort of what they're thinking of you, and that's your like cue. That's kind of like your subliminal clue to be like, well, I guess I was right all along, right? Like if you have that hunch, and there's no reason why you would think that, because the person is like cool with you, or they're nonchalant, but you have a hunch like, oh, I don't think they like me, or you know what, I think they like me, I just think they're not saying it, right? Like if you have that, know that that is accurate, okay? So I just wanted to, explain a little bit about that one. Number one, okay, with that quote, that's sort of what that means. I hope you kind of got that no one, if you're questioning who this person is, then that basically means that you are that to them as well, okay? So, yeah. Now, number two, our second enlightenment out of 11 is when you are out of your mind, you are stereotypically deemed to be crazy, when in reality, out of one's mind is the best place where one can possibly be. And you notice when I say be, it's sort of like be, like this is my cue, like be present, be here now, like everything is equal, everything is neutral, be here now, right? Be in this moment. So that's just what I mean when I say that. But anyway, so when someone is considered like in their mind too much, that can be like thoughts that aren't serving them. It can be, over replaying situations that are like, they should be extinct by now, but they're not. You keep like resurrecting them or trying to. When you are in your mind, okay, because the mind is really a computer, when you are in there, you're really in that computer programming. Also, another example of being in your mind is like wondering, like what bills need to be paid. Like, oh, I should be more concentrated on like the numbers in my bank account, like instead of having fun at work, okay? Or something like that, where you're too in the mind, too in the linear, or like, I wonder what that person is thinking about me, right? Or if it's just something that seems like it's going on in your experience, but you're maybe overthinking about it too much. Like, let's say, for example, like your phone bill is due, and you're just like, okay, that's how much I owe. All right, pay it, be done. Whereas the difference would be, oh, my phone bill's due. Like, oh, why did I go over my minutes, or whatever the case, right? And then someone like, well, maybe next month I should cut back, or I should start. Like, you see the difference? Like, one is like something is in your mind in the computer when the computer is basically, I guess, programming it, or, like finding a solution to the issue, and then it puts it away, tucks it away. Whereas An unhealthy state of mind is like that second scenario. Oh my god, my phone bill's due. And it's like, okay, but what are those excess thoughts doing? They're not doing anything to solve the solution, right? So those are the best examples I thought of on the fly with how the mind works. So when you are in your mind, those are examples, right? But when you're out of your mind, like when you're meditating, when you're out of mind, when you're out of that computer, why is the phrase out of your mind like also kind of coincide with, you know, individuals being seen as crazy? Like, you're out of your mind. Oh, he's out of his mind. Like, it's sort of like frowned upon a little bit. It seems like a little bit reckless, right? Or it can make someone appear crazy, like they're out of their mind, like what, you know? But in reality, that's the best place you can possibly be, because the mind is there to serve you when you call upon it to do so. Like, you know, let me see what groceries need to be purchased this week. You write it down, you're in your mind, you're computing a list of what needs to be done, versus you're stressed. Oh, well, I bought kale last week, and so I should buy pickles this week, or whatever the case, right? Like, those are, again, more examples of mind, okay? So when you're out of that place and you're out of that computer programming, what are you doing? You're being in the moment. So just be, and that is the best place to be, because you're not computing anything, you're not doing tasks, you're not constantly in that state of computing and exerting energy frivolously, okay? So you're more like you're out of your mind and you're being in the present moment, you're living in the present moment, and that's sort of like when the state of natural meditation comes about. Like, you don't have to be sitting in the lotus position to meditate, right? You could be reading a book, or you could be you could even be watching a video on YouTube, right? Like an ASMR video, and you're out of your mind. You're just kind of like, you're concentrating, you're in the moment of what's going on, right? So anything you could think of, okay? It doesn't have to be meditation in a state where you're just, you know, you're just doing that, right? Because I meditate all the time. This is why I like to channel a lot when I have music, because music is like my meditation. That's what works for me personally. You know, you'll know what works for you, but technically right now I'm out of my mind. I mean, like, the computer is turning on a little bit because I'm looking at the list just so I can cover my bases, but this is not scripted. This is just me being out of my mind, just channeling what's in the moment, okay? So that being said, let's move on to number 3. And this one says, allow yourself an allotted time for designated activity. Okay, so this one is pretty self-explanatory, right? I don't know if I'd really call it a spiritual enlightenment, but you know, I like to call things different weird things here, right? So allow yourself an allotted time for designated activity. So for example, like I said, to get out of the mind, if you're overstressing how your cell phone bill is going to be paid, or how much money you're supposed to get back, like on your taxes or something like that. If you're concentrated solely on those things, or even the grocery list, or this person, I text them at 6:59, it's 7:01, they didn't get back to me, right? It's like, you text them at 6:59, and 6:59, when you text them, you know, you might have been out of your mind in the moment, text them, hey, what's up? And then your mind kicks on at 7 on the dot. It's like, they didn't text you back, what'd you do, right? And then you kind of go back in the mind, right? So allow yourself an allotted time for any of the designated activity. Like, if you want to allow 10 minutes to make your grocery list, boom, that's it. But don't think about it again. If you want to allow yourself, you know, 20 minutes to just be in the shower, a hot shower, just relax, allow yourself that, okay? And be in that moment for that moment. And you can start small, you know, it can be like 5 minutes every day. You'll wake up an extra 5 minutes early just so you could like stretch for 5 minutes. You allow that the allotted time, and then you move on. Like, you don't dwell, right? You keep moving from moment to moment, because every moment is like you're being reborn again. So I wasn't the same me who I was when I started this video, okay? So allow yourself the allotted time. Do not go over it, do not go under. Well, you can go over it if it's something you're enjoying, but you know, just to get yourself to be used to just being in the moment, where you're going to shut the mind off, you be out of your mind in the present. Make sure that you're allowing yourself, like, you know, enough time to do that, and also enough time to perform your designated task, because it's all about balance. In a designated task, I mean making your grocery list, right? A leisure task would be maybe taking a bubble bath for like an hour, okay? So as long as you allow yourself enough time in one day to do the things that you kind of like your earthly duties, right? You're like walk the dog or something like that, versus like having that being in the, and then when you're walking your dog, you're pretty much in the moment, right? Like that's pretty a meditative experience, but you get the idea. So allow yourself the allotted time to also relax or do leisure, right? Like, so for me, I make sure that I set a time, you know, every day to do my card readings or things like that, just so I know that it's like I'm gonna do it, okay? And then like in that moment, that's all I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about what I have to buy like for my groceries, you know, next week or something like that. I'm just constantly there. And then the more you get into that, the more you get used to that, then it'll get easier and easier. Now, enlightenment number 4. This is very soothing. This is, I think, how that happened. The 4th dimension is boxed time travel, okay? And I know that these enlightenments really don't have anything really, well, they have something to do with each other, but they're kind of like really random too. But anyway, so it's boxed time travel, which essentially means that if you think of like the 4th dimension as time, or if you think of it like the astral realm, or like the bridge betwixt the 3rd and the 5th, it's kind of like a box, okay, where if we think of time as linear, we're thinking it more of like a rectangle or a line, right? And we look at time from 3rd dimensional perspective, like past, present, future, right? Like we're looking at it and we're like, well, we can move forward and we can move backward, but can we move upward? Can we move downward, right? Like, so the 4th dimension is where you can actually move upward and move downward, whereas the 3rd dimension, you can only go like this, right? So now, being that it's boxed time travel, if we want to think of time travel in the 3rd dimension, we're like focused on the future, or we're focused on the past. And I feel like that's some sort of weird dance, but I mean, I don't know, maybe it is. So you're either moving one direction this way or one direction that way. In the 4th dimension, from a 4th dimensional perspective, this is where one is able to have the ability to jump timelines, like quantum leap, okay? And if you think of the 3rd dimension time as a line, think of the 4th dimension as a box. A box has dimension, right? You can open a box from the top, you can open a box from the bottom, and you can, you know, open it, also unravel it, forward, backward, whatever, right? But you can enter it from all directions. In the 4th dimension, you can enter time from all directions, okay? Because there is no line, it's a dimension above, so it has an extra, additive. I don't know what the proper word is, but I'm sure you get my gist. And so it's boxed time travel, where you can go in and up, and you can go forward and backward. You could essentially like be, I always, when I see this vision, I always see like someone looking down, sort of like they're looking at a lab experiment, and then they're just dropping something in, like at one point in the maze, and then like, you know, the animal's running towards it, like then you drop something over there, and then like, so that's kind of, and I listen, I'm not for lab pet experiments or lab, well they are, I mean, you get what I'm saying. I'm not for that testing on animals, that's what I meant to say. I'm not for that, but that's the best example that I could really give at this point. So you're dropping things in. So essentially, if you want to think of that maze as time, it's you can, from your upper perspective, from your 5th dimensional perspective, you can now see into the 4th dimension, and you can drop in on different areas of time. And this goes for like all timelines throughout the history of Earth, or other planets as well, though I'm sure a lot of them are, you know, very different. But for Earth, that is how it is, okay? You can, you know, just drop in on different areas of time if you choose to look at that, and then whoop, and that's really what a jumping timeline is, at least conveyed to me. Now, the 5th enlightenment is eat root vegetables for immediate and effective grounding. Okay, so if you are very spiritually inclined like me, hey there, hey. If you are very spiritually inclined like me, root vegetables, okay, that's especially something if you're going through like a huge shift, like your body is going to need time to catch up with the spiritual energy, so it needs to be really grounded and like solidified with earth, right? So beach, sand, forest, grass, dirt, things like that, like things that are like earthly. Okay, you could walk in that barefooted. It's called earthing or something, or I mean sanding. I do a lot of sanding. But yeah, that, and then also eating root vegetables because they grow from the ground. Also mushrooms, because mushrooms are like, they grow from like dirt and things like that, and other things. Mushrooms are grounding, okay? Mushrooms and root vegetables. Ginger root, beetroot, celery root, anything that, turnips, I guess potatoes, right? Is a potato a vegetable? I don't know, but all those are really, really good for immediate and effective grounding. I like to take valerian root because it's anti-anxiety. It kind of like calms you down. Also, it's a root, okay, so it grows in the ground and it's very grounding. So yeah, if that resonates with you, I recommend Mr. Valerian. Now let's move, let me take some tea first. Now, the 6th enlightenment is when one is able to speak freely of something from their past that was traumatic and can laugh about it, it entails that situation, event is healed. Okay, so if there is something traumatic that happened to you, and listen, everyone experiences trauma differently. What person A finds traumatic, person B might not even like bat an eyelash over, right? And vice versa. So if something was traumatic to you, and you know, most of us have had something, okay, whether we were witness to it, or it was an experience, or we like witnessed someone else experiencing it, or whatever the case. It might be something as, you know, I don't know, maybe like you were walking around and you didn't realize that you had on 2 different socks, and like people saw that and they started making fun of you, right? Like to me that would be minor. Like it wouldn't really, you know, but to someone else it might be a major thing, just like something that someone else might find to be minor, like I might be like, whoa, like, you know what I'm saying? So it could be anything, right? It can range from any topic, different people, situations. But if it was traumatic to you and you can tell that story now, like you could laugh about it, you're like, man, that day I was wearing 2 motherfucking different socks, bro, and my crush laughed at me. But we're married now, so got you, right? So I mean something like that, okay? And it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly like that, but you get the idea. If it bothered you in the past and now you can talk about it and there's no emotional charge and you're like, you even find it funny, then that's how you know you've healed. So good stuff there. The 7th enlightenment is never spoil what is by arguing about what could happen. Now, when this sort of ties with one of the other ones that I said, but never spoil what is, right? Your isness is your being now, okay? And what could have, should have, would have, okay? Whether you're anxious about the future or you're like going back in the past just to like feel guilty or feel regret or something like that, it's not that's not what is right now, okay? So if you're viewing those 2 things from a linear perspective, you could be projecting into the future like a perceived worst case scenario, right? Or you could be looking into the past of all the things that like you perceive to have gone wrong, right? So when you're in that, you're spoiling what the moment is, okay? Also, the same is true, although I tend to really go more towards like if you're in like a negative, like constricted state and you're looking into the past, you're looking into the future. But also if someone is overly like hyping something up, or is overly optimistic, okay, that might not be the best thing too, because you're still kind of like and I'm not talking about in terms of manifestation. You do want to look at it, excitement of what is expanding and is yet to arrive for you. But you don't want to be so focused on just living in the future, like in your mind, like in that imaginative thing, than being present in the now. Because the truth of the matter is, at least in my personal experience and just from others that, you know, I've spoken to about this type of stuff, when you're in the moment, like let's say you have a really like you're waiting in anticipation, like, oh, am I gonna get this house or whatever, right? And you're waiting for that and you're excited and you're optimistic, but that's all you're thinking about, that's all you're talking about. In essence, that's sort of gonna push that away from you, because you keep talking about, so it's like it's resonating, but there's no it's still kind of like keeping it away from you in a sense. And what I mean by that is that if you don't give it a little space to breathe, if you're too like pushing it, even though it's the same thing, you're still, every time you move forward and you're not in the present moment, it's like further away, because now you're putting more expectation into it, right? So when you want something to manifest to you, you want to be in the present moment, not thinking about it, because as soon as you take that even if it's a positive expectation, if you take that positive expectation off of it for just a second, you're just going to be present, you're going to be in the receiving mode, not in the like projecting mode. Because when you're projecting something, it's still an exerted effort on your part, even if it's positive momentum, right? So it still might push it away, because that's also positive. But when you release, it's not going to turn negative, you're just going to kind of neutralize, and then you're going to be like a magnet for that positive thing to just zoom into your experience. That's why you hear a lot of individuals, they'll say, and I was waiting for them to call me, and I was waiting, and you know what? I said, fuck that, and I went out with my friends, and then they called, and then they text me, or they DM'd me, right? Like whatever the fuck they're doing. Like you were waiting, you knew you were gonna hear from them, and then you're just like, wait, but I know I'm gonna hear from them. I know that. And then you're just like, you know what, all right, fuck it. And then you're just in the moment, right? You don't have that positive expectant charge, kind of like buffering it away, right? You now release that tension, that energy, and you're just in a receptive mode, because you're in the moment, and then whoosh, zoom, then that's how they end up contacting you, right? So I don't know where I was going with that. I really hope that I explained that one as best that I could. I'm trying to get back to my notes here, but that's really what that means, okay? So never spoil what is by, you know, arguing about what could happen, what should happen, okay? Especially if it's more towards like a polarized area, like negativity in the past, like, oh, but they did that or this or that. It's like, it's still a negative, it's negative, it's not making you feel good, so it is kind of repelling it a little bit, because it's still that energy, that cardinal energy, like projecting onto it. But then if your momentum is mostly negative, if it's like tip the scales to like 51, you know, you don't want to really get to that place, because then the minute that you actually are in the moment, like let's say you receive a phone call from a friend, and you're actually like, you're just in the moment, you're watching like TV or something over the phone, you're watching YouTube over the phone with this person, your mind is not on it, and then like you were thinking that negative thing because you released that resistance, that expectation, that propulsion towards that thing, that can also come to you, okay? So definitely don't spoil what is, okay? And there's a time to have positive expectations and to manifest, and then you allow yourself the allotted time, and then you just kind of leave it alone, okay? You don't want to constantly be thinking about something, because as I said, whether it's positive or negative, that would take it away for the time being, and then when you don't think of it, whoosh, it's going to come rushing in, okay? I do want to state also that things that are negative, that feel constricted, they do take a lot longer to manifest than positive things, so keep that in mind and tweak your vibration as needed. You know, if you're going to cross that threshold of 5149, right? So you want to really even get in that 2% of work on positive expectation, just to like neutralize and cancel out. This way, when you actually are in the moment in your isness, you know that what's going to arrive to you unannounced, unexpectedly, is going to be positive. So all right, now we have the 8th enlightenment. Now this is on someone's career path or life purpose. It says, would you still do it if you didn't need the money? Okay, so now this is really important to say, especially in today's society, when society is pretty much fueled and driven by, like, you know, paper money and things like that. Okay, so a lot of people, they get jobs that they don't like because they feel that they need to pay their bills, or they need the money, or whatever, right? That and it's pretty common. Okay, I'm sure you know of at least one person who spoke like that to you, right? That they said they needed that job, or maybe it's like you felt that way at some points, right? Like you need money, right? That's how you know, society is sort of like trained at this moment in time, right? So your dream career, your life purpose, like what your path is, you can get paid for that. You can get paid, and you will get paid a lot more than if you're working a job for someone else, because it's actually going to excite a passion in you, and you're going to be so happy doing it. It's not even going to feel like work, and you're just going to see like currency and money and funds flowing in, because you're just having a good time and you enjoy it. So if you are in a position where you're working right now in a job, you know, would you still do it if you didn't need the money? So if they were not paying you every day to be there, would you still do it? And that, there's really nothing else I could say. That's just kind of what number 8 is. And of course, it's so funny how number 8 came out, the job career path, and 8 is like money and like stability, earthly things like that. That's so I love the way that you, thank you, universe. Okay, so anyway, yes, your career. So is it something that you would still do every day if you were not getting paid to do it, right? If the answer is no, then that is not part of your career or life path or life purpose, okay? If the answer is yes, congratulations, because you most likely are living your dream. You're living your true career path, your true life purpose, because your true life purpose, you can do that just if you love doing it. You don't care if you're getting paid. You just like it so much. Like, you're just like, I could do this all day. And then it happens and you start getting paid because you love it. So you're putting out positive energy, and you're vibrating with positive energy when you're doing it, versus, you know, a job that you're not into. If you weren't getting paid, you wouldn't be there. You're not going to be vibrating at like the most optimum frequency, right? If you don't want to be there, like if you're kind of, you know, buying into that program of like society being a slave to money, right? Because you're not a slave to money, you're not a slave to motherfucking nobody. So ask yourself that. And even if you think that you think that a circumstance is like not going to change, it'll change, okay? Just figure out what you love to do. Do a little bit of that every day. And if you really want to do that as your like true life purpose and career, it will happen. Trust me. I don't know what that means, but it reminds me of like the Roadrunner, like a Roadrunner and the Woody Woodpecker or the Rooster. I don't know, it reminds me of Looney Tunes. Anyway, so now we'll get into the 9th enlightenment. This one says, I am not anything, nor am I no thing. I am everything rolled up into one. The universe. Y-O universe. Okay, so that was another one, which I think that's another one that's sort of like pretty self-explanatory. It means like one universe, like everything is all connected. Okay, and it is not anything, because anything, like, all right, whatever, it is not no thing, right? Because there's matter and things like that, there's energy. It is everything. So every can encompass nothing or anything, right? Because it's everything you can imagine, right? Which can be no thing or it can be anything, but it's all one, and it is everything. And rolled up into one, I kind of saw like the universe like rolled up into that little, like that ball that they said that happened when the Big Bang occurred, and it was like rolled up and then it like whoosh, like exploded outward. Okay, so it's really rolled up into one. It's the universe, it's your universe. Okay, so know that you are everything. When you match your frequency to anything that you want, or no thing that you don't want, and no thing, if you want to match your frequency, just don't pay it mind. Accept it that, it's there, it's a possibility, but don't pay it any mind. And you're not, you're not actively pushing it away. And you're not anything, because like, if you anything, it's like, it's very scattered. It's like, oh, well, any, right? But if you are everything, if you are every possibility and you are no possibility altogether, then that's where you have the ability to really get everything you want, be everything you want, do everything you want, because it's everything. It's anything and no thing kind of blended together, okay? Because it's any possibility that you want, or it doesn't have to be even in your realm of experience. It's just whatever you want. I know that one might have been a little confusing, but that got a little more philosophical and like kind of like a deeper level. So I hope you understood that. But yeah, that's essentially what that means. You are everything, okay? And you can choose anything, or you could choose nothing, right? Because you are everything. If you have all possibilities rolled up into one, which is you, then everything already simultaneously exists, okay? It is everything. It's the stuff you want, it's the stuff you don't want, right? Everything. Number 10, the 10th enlightenment. Now this one is really, like I said, some of them would be short and sweet. We only shed tears of joy here. This says, sincerely, heaven. So if you want to have the proverbial heaven on earth, know what it will feel like. It will be joyous. The only tears you will shed will be tears of joy, because heaven is essentially when you are living every moment, you're living every experience in the vibratory energy of love. Not fear, because fear would be hell. You are living in heaven. You are living in love. Okay, so that one, I'm just going to leave it there because I feel that that one's very simple. The 11th enlightenment. Okay, put that conversation on quiet. Now this one is really, this can mean so many different things, but when do my channelings not mean so many different things? Okay, so first of all, it could be conversations in your mind, your monkey mind that you're having with yourself, like the examples I gave before, with the, what am I gonna buy for my groceries? What am I gonna buy for my groceries? Like, yo, write the damn list and be done with it, and then go back to your isness, right? So it could be put that conversation on quiet, take care of it, handle it, put it on quiet, right? Or it could be another person. It can be a literal conversation. If you don't feel like responding to someone, just put do not disturb on your phone, right? Put it on quiet. If you're not going to deal with something then and there, if you don't feel like it, then put it on quiet. If you're not going to take an action right then in that moment, then you have to put it on quiet until you feel guided and called to take an action. Okay, so this essentially can also be if this can also be in a situation where if you're physically with someone and you realize that like they're getting like a little rowdy and they're talking to you they're talking to you funny and you're just, I'm not here for that. Put that conversation on quiet, and all you have to do is just say, I'm not here for this, and like turn your attention elsewhere. And it's okay to walk away from someone mid-conversation. Like you can just walk away. You can be like, I'm not here for this. Boom, walk away. That's perfectly acceptable. If you feel that something is not getting anywhere, if you feel it's too emotionally charged of a situation, if it's something you're even doubtful about, like if someone asks you a question over text and you don't know what to say, you just leave it. Don't think about what you're gonna say. Don't like write a million rough drafts. I'm gonna send this, and send it to like 12 friends and say, should I send this to? No. If you don't feel ready to answer right then and there, put the conversation on quiet. Just, okay, you know what, I'll deal with that later. I can't, whatever it is, you're overwhelmed, you're not feeling it, you don't want to deal with it. That is perfectly acceptable, okay? And this one I feel I really needed to put here as the 11th enlightenment, because reality is that if you're not going to take an action to something that is like mind chatter or something that is going to cause you like, if someone, like I said, if someone asks you a question, you're not ready to answer that. Like if you feel like, listen, I'm not going to answer that right now. I'll get back to you. You can step away. You can take a breather, okay? It can also be a circumstance. Like, if you, for example, like let's say you're cooking dinner and out of nowhere you just like, you feel tired and you're like, you know what, I'm not hungry anymore. I'm going to go and take a nap. It's okay to put that on hold. Like leave the pizza in the oven, go take your nap. You know what I'm saying? Just like leave it on quiet. You don't need to do anything if it doesn't feel right in the moment. And you don't need to explain yourself to anyone. You don't need to have justification chit-chats in your mind, right? You don't have to have like, an emergency meeting with 10 different friends. Like, what do I do now, right? Just hold off, put it on quiet, okay? Because if you're in a place where you feel like energetically disrupted, and this can be a whole plethora of different types of feelings, okay? But if you're feeling energetically disrupted by anything, put it on quiet, come back to it later. Because if you're frazzled, you're not gonna be able to give the best response or attention or affection or whatever it is to that unless you are energetically like either neutral or energetically positive, okay? So it's okay to put that conversation on quiet. A lot of people might think it's rude if someone is taking their me time, but that is not rude at all. If you just don't feel right about whatever it is, just, I'm not here for this. I'm gonna be over here. And when you're feeling better about it, that's when you get back to that, okay? And this could go for any area in your life. I gave a few examples, but just leave it on quiet. And that's also like up here too, even if nothing is going on, but your mind to just say, oh, but did you turn on the porch light, or did you flush the toilet, or did you put the dishes in the dishwasher, right? It's like, just put that conversation on quiet. Be like, listen, you know what? I'll go and I'll check to see if I put the dishes in the dishwasher, right? And you're done. Oh, but now did you do this? And it's like, if you're not going to take an action, if it's just going to keep like gnawing at you, then you need to just put it on quiet until you're ready to deal with it. And then this goes back again to the whole allotted time and things like that, okay? So I know this was a little bit random and all over the place, but when I'm guided to make a video, I make the videos, I don't question it. So that was it for my 11 enlightenments. As always, it is our intention that those who are meant to resonate with messages here do so well. I am Oculus, the alien next door. We will chit-chat again soon. Peace, good vibes, and namaste. Blessed, because you are.